Breaking news is coming in right now, and what we are about to cover may be one of the most significant military developments of this entire conflict. Iran has just confirmed through an official communique from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that its missiles have struck a United States Navy destroyer operating in the Indian Ocean. This is the 19th official statement released under what Iran is calling Operation True Promise 4. According to Thran, the strike involved a combination of QR-380 ballistic missiles and Talai cruise missiles hitting a warship that was positioned approximately 600 kilometers from the Iranian coastline. Before we go deeper into what this means, if you are not yet subscribed to From Report, do it now and activate the notification bell, because what is unfolding in real time is not a minor incident. This is a development that redefines the entire military calculus in this conflict. We are covering it as it happens. Let us start by understanding exactly how this strike was executed, because the tactical details reveal something that goes far beyond a lucky shot. According to the information available, Iranian forces had been tracking this destroyer for an extended period. They were not waiting for an opening randomly, they were waiting for a specific moment of maximum vulnerability, and that moment came when the American destroyer was in the process of refueling at sea, physically connected by fuel hose to a supply vessel. When a warship is refueling at sea, its maneuverability is severely limited. The crew is engaged in complex logistical operations rather than combat readiness. The physical connection between the two vessels creates a constrained situation that reduces the ship's ability to take evasive action. Iranian forces identified this precise window and launched their coordinated strike at that exact moment. This was not a coincidence. This was intelligence-driven patience translated into precision timing. The weapon combination used makes the tactical picture even more significant. The QR-380 is a medium-range ballistic missile that uses liquid fuel and is capable of maneuvering during its re-entry phase, and it travels at hypersonic velocities on its terminal approach, which means it is extraordinarily difficult to intercept. The Talai cruise missiles fly at extremely low altitude, essentially hugging the surface of the water, specifically designed to fly beneath radar coverage and strike at the waterline. What Iran appears to have done is combine both systems in a coordinated saturation strike. The ballistic missiles came from above at hypersonic speed, while the cruise missiles came in low from a different angle simultaneously. The objective was to overwhelm the ship's defensive systems by forcing them to deal with two completely different threat profiles at the same time. That is not improvisation. That is a professionally planned anti-ship operation. Now, let us talk about what kind of ship we are discussing here, because understanding the target makes what Iran is claiming truly extraordinary. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer is the backbone of the United States Navy. These ships represent some of the most sophisticated surface combatants ever built. We are talking about vessels approximately 155 m in length, displacing over 9,500 tons, carrying a crew of more than 300 personnel. Each ship costs in the range of $2 billion. These destroyers are equipped with the Aegis combat system, which is essentially an advanced electronic shield that can simultaneously track hundreds of targets within a 300 kilometers radius. They carry 90 vertical launch cells capable of firing standard missiles for aerial defense. They carry Tomahawk cruise missiles for land strikes. They carry anti-submarine rockets. They are equipped with close-in weapon systems capable of firing thousands of rounds per minute, specifically to destroy incoming missiles at close range. In short, the Arleigh Burke destroyer was designed precisely to defend against the kind of attack Iran says it just successfully executed. The fact that Iranian missiles reportedly penetrated these defenses, if confirmed, is not a minor tactical note. It is a statement about the current state of missile technology versus naval defense systems. The supply vessel struck alongside the destroyer reportedly adds another $500 million in losses and was carrying approximately 160,000 barrels of fuel. The images and reports describing fires and smoke visible from a significant distance are consistent with what a strike on a fully fueled supply vessel would produce. At this point, it is important to talk about what the information landscape looks like right now, because the silence from certain quarters is itself informative. Iranian state media, IRGC-affiliated agencies including Tasnim, Yemeni media which serves as a strategic ally and communications amplifier for Tehran, Russian agencies including Sputnik and Chinese state media have all carried this information. Multiple independent regional outlets operating outside the Western information sphere are reporting consistent details. The Pentagon has neither confirmed nor denied, and here is why that matters. When Iranian missile attacks miss or cause minimal damage, American military spokespersons are typically rapid and detailed in their public statements. When the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group reportedly absorbed a hit last week, and now when a destroyer is reportedly struck, the response is silence, evaluation, and careful message management. The pattern is recognizable. Silence in this context is not neutral. It is a form of communication that tells you something important about the severity of what may have actually occurred. If you are finding this analysis valuable, subscribe to From Report right now. We are going to keep covering this as new information comes in, and you do not want to miss what comes next. Let us step back and look at the strategic implications of what Iran is claiming, because if accurate, this completely redefines deterrence in the region. For decades, the operating assumption underlying American naval power projection has been that no adversary would dare attack a U.S. Navy warship in international waters, and that even if they tried, the layered defensive systems on American surface combatants would make such an attack suicidal for the attacker and unsuccessful in execution. That assumption has been the foundation of American naval supremacy, not just in the Persian Gulf, but across the broader Indo-Pacific theater. Last week, the reported strike on the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier was already a significant challenge to that assumption. Aircraft carriers are the crown jewels of American naval power. They are the platforms around which entire strike groups are organized, the symbols of American military reach and political will. A successful strike on a carrier, even a partial one, would be historically unprecedented in the modern era. Now, if confirmed, we have a strike on a destroyer in the Indian Ocean, not the Persian Gulf, not a constrained waterway, the open ocean. This geographic shift matters enormously because it means Iranian strike capability is not confined to the narrow waters near its own coastline, where proximity might explain the reach. We are talking about a force projection capability that extends hundreds of kilometers into open sea. If a U.S. Navy destroyer operating in the Indian Ocean with full Aegis capabilities can be successfully struck by a coordinated Iranian missile attack, every American naval commander in the region has to recalculate the risk profile of every operation. Every ship positioning decision, every refueling schedule, every patrol route, the strategic mathematics of the entire theater changes. There is another layer to this that connects directly to the broader geopolitical situation surrounding this conflict. Iran is calling this operation True Promise 4. The three previous iterations targeted Israeli assets. This fourth operation has now explicitly targeted American naval assets. That escalation in targeting represents a deliberate choice. Iran is signaling that it views the United States and Israel as joint combatants deserving joint retaliation, not as separate actors where one might be deterred while the other continues operations. The IRGC has explicitly framed this strike as retaliation for the joint American and Israeli attacks on Thran and other Iranian cities. The language of reciprocity is deliberate. For every strike on Iranian soil, there is now a declared Iranian intention to respond against American assets wherever they can be reached. This framing also connects to the nuclear negotiation context that has been hovering in the background throughout this conflict. Iran entered this war already under severe economic pressure from decades of sanctions. An adversary that feels it has nothing left to lose economically, that has already absorbed maximum economic punishment, calculates risk and reward differently than a state that still has economic assets to protect. When a country has been systematically stripped of economic leverage, its military leverage becomes proportionally more central to its strategic calculus. Let us talk about what the energy markets are likely to do with this information, because the civilian consequences of this military escalation are global and immediate. Oil prices were already at historically elevated levels before today's developments. The Strait of Hormuz has been closed to what Iran designates as hostile shipping since the beginning of this conflict. That single choke point controls access to a significant percentage of global seaborne oil trade. The resulting supply disruption has been driving prices upward for weeks. If today's reported strike on a U.S. Navy destroyer triggers a further American military response, if Iran responds to that response, if the escalation ladder continues to be climbed, we are looking at sustained oil prices that will filter through every transportation cost, every manufacturing input, every food distribution chain on the planet. This is not an abstract geopolitical calculation for most of the world's population. When oil prices rise sharply, the cost of shipping agricultural products rises, the cost of manufacturing rises, the cost of heating and cooling rises, the cost of every physical good that moves from one place to another rises. In developing economies with thinner financial buffers, these price shocks translate rapidly into food insecurity and economic contraction. The political consequences inside the United States are also significant and immediate. Midterm elections are approaching. Gas prices that voters see every day at filling stations are one of the most viscerally felt economic indicators for ordinary households. An administration conducting a costly war that is directly correlated with rising costs at the pump faces a very specific political pressure that economic abstractions do not capture. There is one technical detail about the weapons involved that deserves specific attention because it speaks to a broader question about where military technology currently stands relative to naval defense systems. The QR-380 ballistic missile is a hypersonic terminal weapon. What that means practically is that in the final phase of its approach to a target, it is traveling at speeds that current interceptor technology struggles to address effectively. Standard surface-to-air missiles are designed to intercept targets moving at certain speed profiles. Hypersonic terminal velocities compress the reaction time available to defensive systems to the point where the probability of successful interception drops significantly. This is not a purely Iranian problem or a purely American problem. It is a global technological challenge that every navy in the world is currently grappling with. The combination of hypersonic ballistic delivery from above and low-altitude cruise missile approach from the surface simultaneously is specifically designed to defeat layered defensive architectures by exploiting their different response timelines. The Arleigh Burke-class ships carry close-in weapon systems specifically designed to be the last line of defense against exactly this kind of attack. The fact that those systems may not have been sufficient, if the Iranian account is accurate, tells us something important about the current technology gap between offensive hypersonic strike capability and existing naval point defense systems. Here is where we stand right now as this situation continues to develop. Iran has officially claimed a successful strike on a U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer and an accompanying supply vessel in the Indian Ocean. The strike was reportedly conducted using a combination of QR-380 hypersonic ballistic missiles and Talai low-altitude cruise missiles in a coordinated saturation attack timed to exploit a window of reduced maneuverability during refueling operations. The reported financial value of the assets struck exceeds $2.5 billion. The Pentagon has neither confirmed nor denied. Multiple non-Western media organizations operating independently of American and Israeli information management are carrying consistent details of this account. The absence of rapid American denial, which historically appears quickly when Iranian claims are inaccurate or greatly exaggerated, is notable. If this account is accurate, we have entered a new phase of this conflict, one in which the open ocean is no longer a sanctuary for American naval assets, one in which Iranian hypersonic missile capability has demonstrated operational effectiveness against the most sophisticated surface combatant in the U.S. Navy inventory, and one in which every diplomatic calculation, every military positioning decision, and every energy market price is going to be recalibrated. The full picture will become clearer in the coming hours and days. But what is already clear is that something significant has happened, that the information landscape around it is being managed carefully by the parties with the most to lose from full disclosure, and that the consequences are going to be felt well beyond the Indian Ocean. Stay with From Report, subscribe if you are not already, activate the notification bell. This story is moving fast and we are going to keep you ahead of it. Leave your analysis in the comments.